I hope it's up now. Cool. So yeah, coming back to what we were discussing. So reporting is sacrosanct for test automation. The automation that you run at the end of the day uh, without a report does not provide you any sort of clarity as to what was run, what passed, and what failed, right? So there's a new tool called Report Portal, which actually makes it much easier in terms of understanding the reports generated by your automation tool. We have a duo from IBM Software Labs. They also are my colleagues. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce Akshaya and Sushavan. Akshaya has over 10 years of experience in the industry, and he has been instrumental in actually taking the product qualities and the organization that he have worked to the next level. And he is also instrumental in kind of ramping up our automation. Akshaya is actually an engineering manager who drives a team as well as the automation efforts in the team. We also have Sushaman Bhattacharya. He is a senior resident. He also has about 10 years of experience in the IT industry. He is instrumental in building a lot of frameworks from the scratch. He is also an R&D specialist who does a lot of R&D in the newer tools and helps us in terms of implementing it. So he with about 10 years of experience in the industry, he also brings in a lot of insights for both testing and quality. Having said that, I'm sure we are all thrilled to know about this tool report portal. So Akshaya and Sushaman will take this forward. Over to you, Akshaya.
Hey, thanks, Sundar. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon.
Can you
I'm
please
really
share your screen?
excited to have you all. Sorry, Sundar, you're telling something?
Can you please share your screen?
Yes, I'm doing that. Yeah. So I'm really excited to have you all here. Looking forward to share and learn from you all. So first, I'd like to thank Sundar, Harsh, and Aditya for giving this opportunity to talk in this meetup. Saturday afternoon, right? So I hope no one has gone for a heavy lunch, and the reason is we're really going to discuss some cool stuff on AI and ML. AI ML, right? Buzzwords. So I mean, you'll be keep on hearing these terms more often. So what's really AI? Artificial intelligence. So let's just speak few things about AI before we start. So AI enables machines to think like human. So you guys would be imagining kind of Terminator, right? So definitely we are not going to speak anything on robot or machines. And what is machine learning, by the way? So it's kind of a type of a process of AI. You can think machine learning as a subset of AI. And based on learning, what it does is it looks for the most similar decision and similar ways to solve a problem based on its learning set, basically. So do we really see AI or machine learning in our regular life? Yeah, I can give you some of the examples. Google Map, I believe everyone would be using Google Map, right? So all its prediction are AI powered. We have been traveling in flights. You would be knowing that autopilot is a mode which is again driven by AI. Facebook, you would have tried to upload a picture to Facebook, and you'd be delighted to see how Facebook uses AI to recognize faces. So all this we really see in our day-to-day life, right? So similar, I can give you a couple of examples where companies are using machine learning. Let's say Uber, right? Whenever we book a ride in Uber, the estimation, or let's say we are trying to order food over Swiggy, We see the estimated time for delivering the meals to you. And let's say we're trying to do some kind of shopping on Amazon, and Amazon gives you predictions and it gives you recommendation based on your shopping history, right? All this kind of use machine learning. Yeah, so now let's talk what we are really trying to say here, right? So in terms of software testing, so we really are not interested on the other AI stuff, but we really want to understand how AI will play a major role in software testing. Those were days, I think, believe around 2000 or much before that. For any kind of software testing, there was a life cycle. Mostly people were using waterfall model. You start with requirement analysis, you do a development, maybe a high level design, low level design, you do coding. Tester starts with writing test case, then they have the luxury of testing, doing automation. But from the last 1 decade, everyone is really moving towards Agile. What Agile brings in is you really need to be faster. With DevOps, CI/CD, all these tools, we really are moving in an era where everything needs to be faster, right? So that's where we can leverage some of this AI and machine learning to really become faster with modern day kind of testing. What's the future of testing, right? So let's pick something on automation. So for any kind of industry or company, using automation has its set of own challenges, right? That could be start with writing automation test scripts. So can we really use AI which can help you writing these test cases? What if you wrote these test cases? Now, how do you maintain? So every industry spend a lot of time maintaining these test cases. So every release by release depends on industry. Around 30% of the testers' effort goes in maintaining those test cases. And the third biggest challenge is you wrote 1,000 test cases, let's say, and you are running these every day. What about analyzing the reports? What about understanding how your automation suite gives the return on investment? So basically, we are really talking about the smart analysis here. So to make it more complex, every organization have different environments, right? Let it be a testing environment, development environment. There could be a pre-production and production environment. And if you have the 1,000 test cases and you are running it daily in every instance, definitely you're talking about 4,000 test cases running every day. And hypothetically assume a situation when 10% of your test cases fails. Then we are really talking about 400 test cases. So the amount of time that we're going to spend to analyze and understand what kind of failures are these is potentially huge. So that's something we are really going to discuss in today's session. So with that, so I hope I am able to give you some context on this particular session. So what we are really going to discuss is we'll be discussing what is report portal, what are its features, technical specs, and we'll discuss more on smart analysis, how it really will help to overcome those challenges as we speak. And definitely we'll see a demo and followed by question and answers. Okay, to start with, what is report portal? So by definition, it's a reporting dashboard that most of people might be aware of. So as any other test automation dashboard, it shows you the automation results as soon as you trigger your automation suite, and you can really see how your automation suite is behaving. But it just is not about a reporting dashboard. Basically, it's a service that has the capability to speed up result analysis. It has its own analytic feature based on AI and ML by which you can speed up your result analysis, and you can leverage AI within report portal. It is also a great addition to your continuous integration and continuous testing process. If you are using CI/CD in your organization, then there are APIs which we can leverage to make a decision of a go or no go for a release. So let's see what are the features.
Real-time reporting. I believe everyone would be using some or the other dashboard, wherein as soon as you kick a automation suite, by suite I mean, let's say there are 10 test scripts and you kind of combine the scripts within a suite and you run this suite. By end of the suite execution, you will see your report on a particular dashboard. So that is pretty much any reporting dashboard offers. But what report portal offers is it's a real-time reporting. So as soon as you start your automation, you start seeing the real-time reports on this dashboard. So you really don't need to wait till the execution is completely finished. Rather, it will be real time. There will be different metrics that we can populate using dashboards. So there are widgets which can give you different stats like automation health, failures classification, or stability of automation test. How do you really effectively measure the defects? So those things we're going to see in the demo. It has a very simple integration with almost all automation framework. If you're using TestNG, it has its own adapters. If you're using Cucumber, any kind of automation framework that you use, it has simple integration, and pretty much we can do the integration within few hours. It supports a unified storage of your test artifacts, rather it be a log, a screenshot, any XML. We can really populate anything, whatever your log captures, and we can see it in the dashboard. It's a single point entry point for any kind of test automation framework that you use. It could be UI based, it could be API, your unit test, your integration test. So all these tests can be catered by report portal, and you can see this on your dashboard. There are different plugins available for report portal, which gives you kind of flexibility to integrate with any of the bug tracking system. It could be Jira, or it could be a TFS, or any other bug tracking system that you'll be using within your organization. It also supports LDAP integration, by which you can create users and they can sign in basically to this tool. We'll definitely speak on this ML based auto analysis. And this tool is open source, so it has its own Docker support. We can install Docker Compose, and with just one command, you'll be ready to use this tool if you're trying for an on-prem deployment. It also has its own cloud instance that we can use. It has extensive REST API support that we'll see in a short. And if you're fond of opening dashboard on mobile phone, it definitely supports mobile UI as well. Okay, so a lot of theory. So let's go and see how the tool really looks like. So this is the report portal website, reportportal.io. Once you land here, you can see there's a try demo link over here. So let's click there. What it does is it creates a cloud instance of the tool for you to try out. There's a login for this. Yeah, and here they have detailed info of their current releases and what are the features those are available. And this also shows it's a microservice architecture, so they have different components or rather apps that you can see what versions they are running on. So let's just log into the tool. Okay, so as soon as I will log into the tool, we can see the 4 sections here, and we are at this launches tab. So here each row shows the equivalent run of your test automation suite. So which means this demo API test 20 is one of my automation run where I had 80 scripts. Similarly, the other rows defines the other runs for my automation suites. This is the test script, this test suite run name, and you can pretty much decide what description you want to give. All these are configurable within your automation framework. It shows the start time of this test script. So it was ran like 2 hours back. The number of total test scripts that this automation run had. So in this case, we had 80 scripts running, out of which the pass number, which is 42, the fail number, which is 26, and 12 scripts were skipped. So this is kind of insight how your particular run behaved. There are 4 more columns over here, which says product, automation, or a system issue. So product bug, automation bug, or a system issue, and the last column is for to be investigated. So we'll speak more on this in the later part of the demo. So this is how on a high level the launches screen looks like. Now, if we click on this 80 number, it's a hyperlink which can give you the detailed script. All these 80 scripts you can see here. And if you go inside one script, there will be detailed step-by-step logging that you are capturing within your automation framework. So all the logs, whether there's a attachment or there's a screenshot, everything will be shown over here. You can change the log level, whether you want to see only the debug or info or warning, and it's kind of a filter. Similarly, we have a filter for logs with attachment, and you can see that there all these filter criteria are matched when you suggest anything to the tool. On the top of the screen, you can see there's a lane. This is called as a history lane. So what it tells you is this particular test, how it behaved in its previous runs, which means launch status test. This is the current run where this color determines it is failed. Similarly, how it behaved. So the run number 19, if you see a green, then it was passed. For the gray, it was skipped. So from here you can see how the test performed on all of its previous runs. Now let's go back to the launches and go for a failed test case and see how does that look like. So these are the failed test cases, and let me just click on one of the failed test case. So here we can see this is a failed test case, and whatever info you would have given to capture the log, it will be shown here. And how do you see what was the failure? You can go to the stack trace, and we can see that this particular test case failed because of this reason. We kind of capture all the complete stack trace here. Okay, so yeah, I think let's move on to this part now, which is the really important part for this tool. We see that with this particular test run, 26 script failed. Out of that, there's so many failures, right? So now this is the real value add for any automation run, right? So any automation run can tell you like, okay, X percentage of your scripts got failed, but does it tell you why are those failures for? Is it because there was some issue with your automation script itself, or there was some system bug or a product bug, or there is some problem in the environment when we are running your automation? So that's how the real value comes in with this tool. So this tool can pretty much determine what kind of failures are there. So this is how it's classifying that in this particular run there are 8 product bugs and 8 automation bug and 8 system issues, right? So let's see how this tool is able to figure out this info. So as we discussed, any automation, any AI system needs some data set, or I would say rather any machine learning would need some data sets. Based on its training set, it can determine what action or what decision need to be taken. So in this case, if you see there are any failures, we have a to be investigated button here, right? When you click this link, we know that there's a stack trace for this particular failure. And by looking at this product, this stack trace, and by understanding this product, we know what kind of failure is this. So let's say this particular failure, we know that this is a system issue, right? So we can classify this as a system issue, and we can have a proper comment. Then we can save this. So what really is happening right now, we have been training this machine that next time a similar occurrence is there for a defect, then you automatically classify this as a system issue, right? So the next time we run this suit, what will happen is if the system is seeing a similar occurrence of a defect, it's automatically going to classify this. So let's see that in live action. So I'll just go to a configuration tab and let us enable this auto analysis here. And let's trigger one of the automation suite that we have. So this is one of the automation script I'm running where we have 10. This is automation suite where we have 10 scripts and we have intentionally failed 3 out of those. So now if we go to the launches tab, we can see that we ran this suite and we had 10 pass or 7, fail or 3. Now let's go to these 3 failures and see the reason why it failed. So the first one, if we see a start trace, the expected was a 200, but we found a 400. And let's classify this as a product bug. So, and I'm gonna save this. So if we go back to the launches, we see that one of the issue is been marked as product bug. Now we can also create different other types of category of defects. Let's say within product bug, I will create environment issue. This is one more category that I can think of will be applicable to my organization. So this is created. Now let's come back and see the second test case why it failed. So the second test case is a null pointer exception. So let me mark it as an automation bug. And the third test case. Yeah, we can see this again arithmetic, but just for this demo, I'm marking it as an environment issue. So we have classified all our 3 defects into some of the categories. Now for our project configuration, we have our auto analysis as turned on. Now let's retrigger this suit and see how AI and ML really kicks in and is it able to determine the failures correctly or not. So let me just refresh this. So if you see, this is the run just we did right now 6 seconds back, and in a real practical world, I was talking about those 400 test cases. So as a tester, you are not really going to spend time to analyze all these results. Rather, this tool is doing that on your behalf, and you have your own time to do more productive work. So this is how this tool automatically saw that, okay, this is the same occurrence that I'm getting again. So it classified the same issues as product bug or an automation bug. You can pretty much do the same thing for the existing runs as well. So if you don't turn on this automatic analysis, then you can you have that same option over here. You can still trigger this automatic analysis, rather I would say this analysis manually. So this is where the option is. You can select to analyze this particular run manually. And you can also have the flexibility to change the system issue. Rather, it's not a fixed thing. Later point of time, let's say you realize that this is not an automation bug, rather this is a system bug, then we have the flexibility to change this, and this gets classified as system bug. Okay, now how this tool will be. Okay, let's see what are the other configuration, right? So we can pretty much decide what are the values for keeping the launches. So this is all the parameters for the system admin. They can pretty much choose whatever configuration they want to keep the attachment logs, whether they want to persist this data or they want to keep it forever. So this info is available here. The integration tab is a place where you can download the plugins, and you can pretty much set up anything that you want to integrate report portal with, whether it's a email server, it's a Jira, or any other, let's say you have a plugin for your Jenkins, so everything goes here. Notification is again for the email notification. Once your email server is up and running, then I mean the setup is done. You can decide whether you want a notification with every run, or you want to a notification whenever there is a failure. Those kind of notification can be created over here. Defect types, we already saw this. This is the place where you create a new category of defect. And auto analysis. So there are different options here. Similarly, we also have different logins here. Basically, you have different permission map. If you want to expose this tool or rather portal to your customers, then also you can do the same thing. So you can create different users and associate different roles to it, and different users will have their different permission level associated with them. So these are the options to create a new user here. You can pretty much use this invite user and you can add a user. Now imagine a situation, there are different teams in your organization and you really don't want everyone to kind of start putting the reports here, and you are kind of lost which report is from which team. In that case, you can create different teams over here. So you can, so this is like a particular team that default personal. So whenever you create a new user, it will also create a new project space, and different teams can use different project space to kind of upload their reports to. And let's say there's a release management team and they want to track the reports combining from all teams, then dashboard is the place. So how dashboard works, I'll just tell you. Before that, let's see, there's an option for filters. So what it essentially does, you can pretty much create a filter out of these runs for which you want to create a dashboard. So in this case, let me just add a new filter, and I can say that just create a filter with any of the runs which has a name of demo API. And you can save, and you can pretty much give a name, demo API. And here is the option to save this filter. And add. So share is basically sharing this filter across users. Right now, this is for the default user. When you save that filter, any other users can get access to this filter. So here we have created a filter. Now, let's go to the dashboard. So there's an option to add any new dashboard. So let me create a new dashboard. And when we create a dashboard, there are different widgets that report portal provides us to see different test artifacts, I would say, right? So whether it's a launch statistics or whether it's a duration, so there are different widgets that's available, and with every release they keep on adding different other widgets to this. So I've already have a dashboard. Let's just go over there. So this is one of the dashboard where we have configured few of the widgets. So the first one is the overall statistics. So here what you can really seeing is out of the 374 total tests, how many are passed, how many are failed. And unlike any other dashboard, it also provides you the reason of this failure. So when you say the 56 are failed, if you have classified, then it's going to tell you that, okay, out of this 56 script, there are 448 failures are there, and it will essentially classify in different category of defects. The right side chart is all about a launch statistics, how your automation is performing over the last X number of runs. That's customizable. So you can pretty much see that how many passed, how many failed, and those statistics are available here. Pass rate summary, what is the percentage of pass for your entire duration of run. Failed test case trend. So with every run, how many test cases are getting failed over time. So the y-axis is all about the number of failures, and the x-axis is about the runs. So it gives you a graphical representation of the number of failed test cases over the run duration. The launches duration chart. So this is a very helpful widget. In most of organization, you might have some standard timings by which your automation should run. Let's say there's a release happening and there's a window by which you need to make sure that your functionality are looking great and you are relying automation, and you have a specific time. Let's say you have to finish your testing within 30 minutes. Then you can clearly see whether your automation suite is running within that time or it's taking more time. So this chart is helpful for that. So in this case, it's clearly showing whether it's 14 minutes or 18 minutes for different runs. The next widget is about flaky test cases. So essentially flaky test cases are those which changes its states from one run to the other run. Basically from the run one, let's say a particular test got passed, in the next run it fails, and in the subsequent run it again passes. So those kind of test cases are called as flaky test cases, and report portal shows you the number of test cases, which are the most top flaky test cases for you. So in this case, this particular test case is kind of changed its states 7 times out of last 22 runs. So this is something that we are seeing over here. So there are different widgets. Even I have not really configured everything, but depending on our need, we can configure all these widgets. And a situation where multiple teams are using this, they can add their own widgets, and release management can come up with a dashboard which combines different widgets from the different teams. So that's how they can be sure on whatever. It really gives you a clear picture of how automation is working out within your organization. Okay, now let's okay, we have covered the part where we know what are the functionality the tool provides, but let's see how are we really getting this data into the portal, what kind of project configuration we need to change within our automation framework so that all these reports are being ported to this tool, right? So for that, I would request Sushovan who will walk us over the project configuration within our framework, what kind of changes we need to make this integration possible. Sushovan, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Akshay. Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. So let me share my screen. Yes, so hopefully, I mean, you are now aware of what report portal is and what are the things that we can perform in it. But again, I mean, as mentioned by Akshay, and as most of you are thinking that how to populate this data. I mean, once the data is populated, we can do a lot of things, a lot of analysis with using this tool. But the trigger point of all this thing is that you have to populate this report portal with your test results. And that's where, I mean, the initial challenge will come. I mean, if we just analyze this point, there might be a lot of possibilities. Let's say, I mean, this may be a very complicated process, and it will take so much of time that I will not opt for this one. Or else it may be, or the process may be simple, but it may require a lot of changes in my existing automation framework. Then also it will be very difficult for us to adapt this tool. Now, I mean, the real scenario is that it is neither of the two. I mean, it is quite a simple way to integrate this report portal with your existing framework. So what I will do is that I will show you how to integrate this report portal with an existing automation framework. And the framework is a TestNG framework where we are using TestNG for writing the test cases, and for logging we are using Log4j. Now the thing is that I mean, as we are seeing in here, that there are some entities that are getting created, like these things. This is the launch, as mentioned by Akshay, and these are the test cases, these are before shoot. So for these entities to get created, we know that in TestNG we have a TestNG listener which listens to all these events and actually prepares a report internally. So similarly, report portal also exposes a report portal listener which will actually listen to all these events, that whether a test case is passed, whether a test case is started, whether a test case is failed, whether a test case is skipped, everything, whatever we need. So it will listen to all those events, and it will try making these entries, and it will dump actually all this stuff in the report portal instance. Now another thing is that now another thing is that the logs that we are seeing. So this is actually the log statement that has been dumped for this test case. Now, how to dump these log statement inside those entries? So in the framework that I will go through is that we are using log4j for logging these statements, and we will be using report portal listener along with our TestNG listener for creating these entries. So let me show you how easy it is, or what is the process to do it, or how much change it is required for if you have an existing automation framework. So it is very easy. First, let me start with the log4j. So for log4j, as we are all aware that there is a log4j configuration file where we actually mention all the appenders and how, I mean, what are the appenders and how our logging will happen. So in that log4j XML, in that log4j config file, we just need to add an appender that is being provided by report portal listener, report portal team. So this is the appender. So here we see that the class name, the com epam ta report portal log4j appender, report portal appender. So this is actually the class that they provide to dump all our logs provided by log4j into the report portal server and use this appender inside this root. So we are just using this report portal appender along with, I mean, you can use another appenders or other appenders also, but you have to include this report portal appender inside your root so that whatever logs you are printing through log4j will be dumped in the report portal. So the log4j part is just this much. Let me now show you the listener part. So for the listener part, actually you can go ahead and directly use the report portal listener that is provided by the report portal team, or else you can write your own custom listener, which will be used for your TestNG listener purpose also, and also for the report portal listener. So in our example, we have written our own custom listener, and the name of the listener class is TestNG listener. And this is the class name. It can be anything. So what we are doing is that we are extending the report portal TestNG listener class. So this is the class that is being provided by report portal. I will just show you how to get these jars and from where you will get it just after this. So this is the class that has been provided by the report portal team, and this is the class if we extend in our own listener, and the rest process is very simple. Let's take one of the event. Let's say this is the event that on test failure. So there are a number of operations that we can do for our TestNG listener, but only what we need to do is that we just need to call this line super.onTestFailure with the same argument. So what this line will do, it will create an entry. I mean, it will create an event for the report portal listener to hear, and the report portal, and you will get this test failure result on the report portal. So similarly, this is a single line that is being used by the report portal TestNG listener. Rest all are being used by our own custom listener, and these are all our custom operations. There is nothing related to report portal. So similarly, for every event which we want report portal listener to hear, we have to include that line. You see on test success also, we are using the same thing. We are again calling super.onTestSuccess. So if I go in on test skipped, here also we are using this. This is for the failure purpose. So here you see we are using super.onTestSkipped, this one. So it is just this much of code change is required if you are using a TestNG project and if you are using a log4j logger. Now I will come into the jars. We are using two jars, one for enabling this class, one for using this class, this report portal appender, and another for this one, the report portal TestNG listener that we are extending in our custom TestNG listener, this one. So for this, what we have done is that if you use a Maven based project, just you have to include two dependencies. These are the two dependencies that you have to include. So the first one is agent Java TestNG that takes care of the report portal TestNG listener, and the second one is logger Java log4j that takes care of the log4j appender. If you include these two dependencies and if you just make some changes in your TestNG listener and your log4j config file, you are all set to get your results into your report portal server. Now, another thing is that this report portal listener, instead of extending into your own listener, say you are not using any custom listener, so you can directly configure your TestNG XML to use this report portal TestNG listener. That will also be sufficient. I mean, it will by default listen to all the events. So, and another, the fourth step that I want to show you is that you have to mention the server address and the user login details and everything. So for that, we have to set some of the system properties. So these are the properties that you need. I mean, the first three properties are the most important properties. So the first one is the endpoint, that is the URL of the report portal. The second one is the UUID. This you can say it's a user specific. I mean, it's a report portal user specific unique identifier. And the third one is the project. So under which project this data will go in the report portal. And the fourth and fifth one are the launch name and the description. These actually are not required to be present in these properties. We can configure this according to our need from the code only. I mean, from the code in the framework, as per our requirement. So now, how will you get these the property values for a particular user and what is the project name? So this is also very simple. So if you go here, we are logged in by default user. Just go to the profile section. You will be able to get all these things. For this default user, this is the UUID. This is the end. I mean, the endpoint is same for this demo portal server, and the project is default personnel. So this is what the default personnel project. So in a real world, I mean, there may be multiple projects for some different teams. So team 1 will have some different project space. Team 2 will have some another different project space. So what it means is that the report portal, I mean, the logs will be uploaded in this report portal server using this user identifier and under this project space. So now, I mean, it may happen that the specific user identifier that you are using does not have permission to access the specified project space. Then it will fail. It will throw you an error. So all this, it will be taken care automatically by the report portal server itself. And so there is nothing more that you need to configure. I mean, from the configuration perspective and the integration perspective, this is the thing that these are the 4 things that you need to do, and you will be ready to use report portal. I mean, you will be ready to upload all your test reports into your report portal for better analysis. So with this, I mean, I will just go back to Akshay for the next discussion.
Yeah, thanks, Susavan. Let me just share my screen. Yeah, so as Susavan showed, right, we were using a TestNG framework. Let's say you have some kind of other framework, whether it's a Python based, Ruby based, so whether it's a JUnit, Cucumber, the different test agent adapters are available in report portal GitHub. You can leverage them for any kind of project that you have been using. Now we saw the demo using one of the cloud instance of report portal. What about getting your own report portal instance which you want to deploy within using a Docker, right? So if you go to report portal website, if you go to this doc session, there have been clear instruction how you really do it, what were the hardware specification that you need, and what are the steps if you want to use a Docker for Windows, Mac. If not, if you want to use a Ubuntu OS, or if you don't want to use Docker, then what are the steps? So everything is really very well documented, which we can, I mean, that different steps are available. If you follow the steps pretty much within 1 or 2 hours, you will be ready with your own instance of report portal. And so I can say that within a day, you'll be able to set up this Docker, your own instance of report portal, and all the project configuration that we just saw from Susavan. So apart from that, it's very well documented. How do you really get started with this tool? How you create different user accounts? What is auto analysis? How does it work? So everything is very clear on this documentation that we can refer to. There's a very good community support as well. In case you are facing any issues, you can create a bug, and they're really fast enough to reply you.
and if at all you are stuck, they are going to help you on whatever problem you are facing right now. Yeah, with this, we are done with the demo. Let's see if we have any questions that we need to answer.
Okay, there are a couple of questions. One is from Rupesh. Rupesh, would you want to ask?
Audible? Hello.
Hey,
Yeah,
Rupesh,
you're
I can hear you.
Yeah, so I just want to understand, like you mentioned that once you do the execution part, then you can categorize those defect into different categories, and then the analysis engine will understand the next time. But let's say I have already some set of defect outside the application. So how can I use that as an knowledge base for this?
So Rupesh, any machine learning tool, the way it works, right? So you need to start giving a training set, right? So here in this case, this will be the manual effort for the initial few occurrence, right? So in a production system, it might take a few weeks or a few months depending on how big your application. While you train this machine or train report portal how to use this machine learning, right? Like different situation, what's the decision you are taking. So for example, where we saw, right, for a API response of 400 where we're expecting a 200, we said it's a system bug. So those kind of things we really need to do a training set to the system. Then only you can leverage the AI and machine learning capability of report portal. So there is no way you can dump any pre-existing data set to the system. That will not be possible. But however, I can just tell you one more thing. Currently what we saw was a real-time integration of your automation framework to report portal, wherein as soon as you kick off your automation, you start seeing this one new row getting created. But there is also another way to import your existing test results to the system. So that you can do, and there is an option here. If you see, you can import, and you can import a zip file from your existing runs, and after that you can train again. Once you import, you will have a new row created here, and if you have some failures, it will classify under this fourth column, which is to be investigated, and you can start training, start providing training set to the system, and you will be ready for the future runs.
Okay. Just one more question. Like you mentioned that there is one defect which we categorize as a product bug, that is was like expecting value is 100 and we got, let's say, 200.
Mhm.
So you categorize that as an product bug. Let's say next time instead of 100, if it is like 200 is expected and 400 is output actual value, so still it will do the categorization as a product bug, or we need to teach it?
So report portal ML is based on the KNN algorithm, which is like a key nearest neighbors, right? So they kind of using two algorithms, which is the KNN and gradient boosting, right? So what that really means, I can just go over the setting and auto analysis tab. So if you see here, right, the analyzer service that they have depends on something like minimum should match what percentage of your failure, right, or the stack trace should match. Okay, it's not like a head-to-head comparison of the log lines. Rather, it's a in depth. They are using some of the log algorithms to compute what could be the predictive analysis for the same. So I can pass on the documents to go through. That there's no pretty straightforward answer I can give you, like whether it will be a product bug or system bug, but it will be all depending on this algorithm that they're using.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Akshay.
Hey,
Yeah, and also another point, Rupesh, just to add here, I mean, this auto analysis is not on the existing defect dump. This is on the logs that you are getting from your run, automation run. So it's not from the defect dump. I mean, in your question, you have mentioned that from existing defect dump, it's not like that. If you have existing reports of your automation runs, then you can import it and try to train your system.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to the next question that I see here. Hey, Kizji, can you also please brief Docker deployment for report portal?
Right. I think Akshay, you already answered part of it.
Yes.
If at all you want to deep dive, that's fine. But I think I got the gist of it. I think the portal does describe a lot of details on how to cover it up. So thanks for that.
Yes, no problem.
Yeah, but just a separate question, although not on the same lines, but what is the product pipeline looking like in terms of the next releases or future releases that you're doing? What are major features that you're really trying to look forward towards?
For report portal?
Correct, that's right.
So, so if you see their release page, they are very active community where you can see what all new features that they are continuing support. But definitely there are a lot of work they are doing on dashboard new widgets and adding new kind of different, like they're currently using KNN and gradient boosting, right? So new algorithms they try on, so that kind of thing, right? And definitely whatever defect that you post on their website, they kind of take it and really fix them. So so currently we have been using the 5.1 version, and if I see it's been 5.3, so they're very much active, and every month they have been releasing new builds. So yeah.
Thanks for that.
Hello, this is Gopal here. I have one question regarding the reports.
Yeah, Gopal.
Yeah, like so current trend is they wanted to look for the reports, right? So HP, QLM or QC or Jira dumps, they have multiple reports, but they are asking us like, can you do the machine learning or analytics AI? So I wanted to take how many occurrence of the same defect is occurring multiple times. So over a period of 6 months time, if you take, so using this machine learning or AI techniques, can you predict the defect occurrence or reoccurrence, and we can give the suggestions to development team? So this kind of things are coming is a trend for us. So this kind of report they are expecting. So can you please advise on this?
So Gopal, I understand your question. So what you are asking is, based on your analysis, can this tool predict about the future bugs that potentially we are injecting the system, right?
Or like not future, in current also. So I have to analyze last 6 months prediction, and I have to come up with the analysis, say that, so these are my analysis last over a 6 months of period. These are the critical one defects which is caused the downtime of so many hours or so many days. So this is my analysis, and some kind of graphical I have to show using a machine learning or AI techniques. And later also in future also I can say this will, if this kind of bugs comes now, so we can predict. So that kind of analysis.
So the first part to your question, right? Do we have an existing way to figure out that is there? That's what the dashboard is for.
Yeah.
I can just go back to the dashboard. Yeah. So this kind of statistics, like last 6 months, these are my trend. I have introduced 15 product bugs, 10 whatever. Right? This has not been categorized, so it's showing 0. But this kind of trend, obviously, you can get, but it doesn't have any option to predict the future of like it cannot predict how many bugs on this trend will result in the future. But definitely, it can show you what has already been happened in the system.
But in the current trend, right, you might have seen the same similar bugs or similar things present in this trend also, right?
Yes.
That way I can say that this over a 6 months of period of time, my trend analysis is like this. So this is causing more downtime. See, in your trend also, you might have seen multiple defects for the same issue might be causing. So that is because of any development fix or whatever it is. So that kind of trend analysis we are looking actually.
Yeah, so maybe this one will help you, right? Unique bugs. So how many unique bugs you have got? So there are different widgets for that, Gopal. I think we can leverage these widgets for the same thing. There's no other way apart from these widgets. So you can really customize these widgets and see what analysis you want to get from these things. So let's see if I can add this one here. One sec. So this is a demo portal. I don't know if I have to refresh. I'm getting some issue here. Yeah, to answer that, I believe this bug table or this particular widget can help you here.
Yes, I think this widget also can help. And also another thing that can be done is that, say you know that these are the 4 or 5 or these are the n number of bugs that are occurring repeatedly and that are causing downtime. So you can actually, I mean, I will create a separate kind of bug and mark them. So if those bugs are out of those n number of bugs, then you can mark them as, say, downtime causing bugs, and you can get the count of it.
Yeah. So there's
Thank you so much. Yeah, so actually they are looking for asking especially implement NLP techniques. So in machine learning, so we were like going with this standardization or this kind of things, but still they are looking some NLP techniques. So I was not aware of that. So okay, thank you. This information helps me. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
I think there's one last question. Maybe we can take that quickly and then move on.
Sure. Can we modify the previous reports and start classifying? From Jai Prakash. Prakash, if I understand your question properly, you are asking about this classification of defect.
Yeah, Gopal's question was right. So you wanted to look back into or look forward for 6 months report and then start classifying. You shown, I think so, but can you do that? I think, right?
Yeah, we can, right? So basically, if this is the for particular this example, I marked this particular bug as a system issue. Now I want to reclassify this. So there's obviously option here. You can change this later on. You felt that it's an environment issue because you did some more analysis and you found that's not a system bug. That this falls into environment issue. You can pretty much do it here. By the way, I believe I forgot to also mention there's integration to any bug tracking system. So once you do the setup, you'll be pretty much getting a button here. By one click, you can create a bug within your own bug tracking system, whether it's TFS or it's Jira. We can create this defect. So everything that's related to this issue, all the stack trace will get created within your Jira instance.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
Sorry, just one more question from my side.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as you're saying that we should always go into this detailed log and classify. Is there any option that we can directly classify some log lines, and we can classify that log lines into a different category instead of going to each of these?
No. The reason being it's not just the log lines, by the way, as we discussed, right?
Okay.
So there are two this is a struct trace, right? If you want to get some more detailed info, there are YouTube videos for report portal how the machine learning really kicks in. Basically, they take these first 4 lines only. They ignore the rest of the text trace, and then they kind of run this algorithm, which is for KNN, and they find they classify different segments using these 4 lines. So that's how they get. But to answer your question, there would be no other way rather than going to this particular view and creating classifying an issue to any particular.
Thank you.
For the last question, I believe I've already covered. any defect tracking tool, yeah, the almost all defect tracking tool that we, Bugzilla, Jira, TFS, everything they have a support for.
Cool. Thanks, Akshay and Sushavan. I think we are at the top of the hour. So any questions you may have, please take it offline with Akshay and Sushavan, and I'm sure they'll be happy to help you folks.
Yes.
I'm just going to take the screen back
Sure.
from you, Akshay. Thanks a lot again, and thanks everyone for participating with questions as well. I'm sure this is a tool that will be of great benefit to anyone who wants to actually derive the most out of their automation.